I don't know if we're live.
You're live.
But
You're live.
Are we seeing images on the screen, or are we still in that latent period?
Latent.
All right.
We are so very latent.
Yes, but this is what it will show.
We are heavily laden with latency.
I don't even know where to go with that. Hey, everybody. Yes, you are not hallucinating. The RetroBlasting live stream is back. You know me, and you know Aaron Harper from the Dreamland podcast.
That's me from the Dreamland podcast.
That's Aaron from the Dreamland podcast. Melinda is behind camera.
Yes, I am.
And,
I am behind camera.
And Tim Witten, our live stream guru, is at the workstation over there somewhere, doing all of the technical stuff to keep this running. So hope everyone's having a good weekend. We wanted to come back. Normally we do the live stream by allowing the patrons on Patreon to vote for the topic, but I had a few things I wanted to do with this live stream. One, you know, I just got back. Is everything okay? I'm seeing faces.
Tim, I don't see it. Just so you know.
What you're seeing live right in front of you is the fact that the live stream appears to be having a steady latency of 45 seconds or more. So we may be talking to people who aren't there yet, but
No,
don't worry.
I don't see the live stream at all.
Right.
Okay.
But it says it's streaming.
Great.
So
Just
everybody panic.
All right, okay. Does Tim see anything yet?
I don't, but I'm seeing people saying good to see you again.
Okay, well,
That's
that's
good.
I just don't know how to do it. Keep going.
okay. All right, well, anyway, let me know in the comments if you can't see us, because we're having some latency issues trying to get this back online. We have a brand new camera, and we have a brand new computer for the studio. So anyway, the reason I didn't do a vote on Patreon was because I wanted to let everybody know what I brought back from Australia, and I also have a big mystery box to open during the live stream. So I thought this would be more fun. It's just sort of a free-flowing Q&A, throw questions to Aaron and myself while I kind of go through what I brought back from the land down under. Everybody in Melbourne was super nice. They were very enthusiastic toy collectors, like I said in the barge video. And when I went to the event that night, when I went to Left Bank, which was where we had sort of the RetroBlasting after party, if you will, everybody showed up. It's about 15 people. And they were just handing me stuff. I mean, it was sort of out of nowhere. I couldn't believe it. And the first thing that I got was from Logan. Logan gave me these Masters of the Universe figures, as well as this Dark Side from the Total Justice line. I think that's from the Total Justice line. I could have that mistaken. It might be from the Superman series. I could have that wrong, but I think it's from Total Justice. But one of the shockers for me was that he handed me blades from the movie. So this is from the Dolph Lundgren film, which is pretty crazy. So I thought what I would do is start looking for weapons and accessories for him, since I don't have either of these. I don't have the Skeletor or Blades, but Blades was like really jumped out at me. I was like, wow. And then these Star Wars figures that you see here, Andrew just handed me these. These are actually not including the Bespin Luke in front, which...
I was going to ask you, is that another Bespin Luke?
It is another Bespin Luke.
Show up.
So,
You'll be glad to know there are Australia folks on the stream right now.
oh, good, yeah. So the Bespin Luke at the front was the one I bought at the toy show in Malvern. And I bought him so that you would make fun of me and Melinda and Tim would make fun of me.
No. You don't have enough Bespin.
No, I really did buy him so you would make fun of me.
No, there's no reason we should do that. I think you probably don't have quite enough Bespin Lukes. I'm anticipating you getting a few more just to kind of round
I
up.
don't know if you can see it in camera. I've got 1, 2, I think there's 2 or 3 in the case. And then I think I have a total of 8 vintage Bespin Lukes.
Okay, well,
So
maybe you've got enough. Maybe you've got enough Bespin Lukes.
I don't want to hoard them or anything. I'm not a focuser. But the Bespin Luke in the front, which is complete vintage, beautiful. I got him at the Malvern Vintage Toy Show in Australia, and then the ones behind him were all given to me by Andrew. they are all original Toll Toys manufactured vintage Star Wars figures. Toll Toys was sort of the Australian Palitoy before Kenner took over the brand later in the line. So these are all Toll Toys branded or manufactured Star Wars figures.
That's cool. Are there any like major variations on the Toll Toys
They
figures?
seem to say there are. I've got to do more research into it, but people seem to be real thrilled by the idea of collecting a Toll Toys sourced figure and a Palitoy sourced and a Meccano, things like that that had different brand stamps on them for the regional toy companies that distributed throughout.
Just at a glance, this pilot does look a little tense. You know, he's kind of got his shoulders pulled up. So. I don't know if that's...
You're talking about Blades right here?
No, right up here, this guy.
Oh, yeah, the AT-AT driver.
Yeah, maybe he's just really mad.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some scuffs on his rear end too.
Yeah.
So, but he's good.
That's for bouncing, because the
Right.
AT-ATs are a little...
Yeah, he was always a cool figure. And then he's standing on what just blew me away, which was Brian hands me this Macross 30th anniversary Valkyrie. I mean, just brand new in the box. I mean, just hands it to me at Left Bank. And I'm just kind of scrambling like, holy cow, you know, like what? And he said because we were doing the Robotech series, of which, should I say it? Can I say it to everybody? Or would you like to announce the Dreamland arm of that?
We've been working hard putting together a look at kind of what happened behind the scenes with Robotech and trying to get into the nitty-gritty on that. I think there's still a lot of digging to do.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something, Linda, I don't know if you have a timer on that
Yeah,
one. But,
I'm definitely not going to tip my hand on that, but it's a deep well, and there's not a lot of, at least I haven't found a lot of information that's just already out there. So
Right. Well, it's going to be quite a while before we get to the end of the video series because there's 4 parts to it. And part 2 hasn't even come out yet, and I'm working on that like crazy. So the idea being is that around the time that part 4 comes out, probably in the fall of this year, you guys will be sort of on the cusp of doing a Dreamland podcast talking about all of the Harmony Gold legal quandaries and licensing disputes that have happened over the last 30 years. It should be really interesting dovetailing of the two.
I can say, just from what I've been reading, it's very easy when you start going down this path to like end up somewhere completely different.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
real quick, I just want to let people know while you're telling us some of these stories, if you have any questions for Michael or Aaron, to go ahead and shout them out so that I can get those in the queue and ask them when Michael's done talking.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a free-for-all, so just start throwing in your questions. I'm just sort of waiting for people to join the chat while I kind of run down everything that's on the table. So Brian gave me this, and the first thing I thought when he gave it to me was, this is just amazingly generous. And then the second thing I thought was, how am I going to get this back in my luggage? Because things were starting to pile up. I was like, I can't throw away the box, obviously. I would never do that. But this is a gorgeous piece, and I can't wait to actually look at it.
I know it's a jet, but the thing looks like a race car.
I know.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks like a Formula One race car. It's really cool. And then on the far, my right, your left, yes.
Echo Base gave us a super chat.
Oh,
Echo Base Network.
Thank you.
And they want to know, do you still do anything with World Class BS? They miss you on the live streams. They're doing a free giveaway for Star Wars retro figures tomorrow. Keep up the good work.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, I've never made any statements to the contrary about how lovely Jeff at WCB has been to us. He's a great guy. He's a great YouTuber, and he's very enthusiastic about what we do. Yeah, I'll be getting to that in a second. And
A lot of people are commenting on the fact that you have a pop figure.
Yeah, I'm about to explain that.
Okay.
I'm about to explain that.
He made me sit on that side of the table.
Yeah. Anyway, Jeff and I have tried to come back together and do something else together, but the timing keeps not working out. So a few months ago, actually, Jeff reached out to me trying to get us together at short notice, which I would have been totally happy to do, but I had lost my voice that night. And it was around the time that we got the barge. So we keep trying to make things work, and it's just not happening yet. But we're talking regularly behind the scenes via email, so that's not a done deal yet. As far as like, there's probably going to be something in the future, I hope. But yeah, just be patient. So yeah. So anyway, to explain the pop vinyls.
Yeah, Michael, what's that all
Yeah.
about?
So Adrian, who became a good friend of mine while I was in Australia, and I'm glad that we're connected now. He knew that I was into Doctor Who, and he wanted to bring me something from Doctor Who, but as he was struggling to find something to bring for the Left Bank party, he settled on the pop vinyl TARDIS. And when I opened up the bag, at first I thought he was punking me. And so
I have to imagine there was a little bit of that.
yeah, I was kind of like, I thought I was getting trolled a little bit, but and everybody around who was standing around, you could see a few people going, oh, but
snap.
Adrian was being completely genuine with his gesture of, I just wanted to find you something Doctor Who, and this was all he could really get his hands on.
I can respect that.
Yeah, and when it came up out of the bag, it was an object. It was not one of those shark-eyed figures. It was it was the TARDIS, and so I was like, this is actually something that it's not one of those shark-eyed weirdo things that those pop vinyls are. It's almost like a prop for them. So if it's apart from it, so I, of course, was thrilled at just the generosity, the gesture, and also the fact that he knew enough about my interests that he wanted to bring me something that was reflective of that. And so that is why that is right here. It's the same reason that I have the pop vinyl of the DeLorean from Back to the Future, because somebody knew that I was a DeLorean owner. They knew I loved Back to the Future, and they picked that up, and I've got one, but I don't go running around, buying pop vinyls,
And I gotta say, it'd probably be pretty hard to do a caricature of the TARDIS. Like, I mean, it kind of just is the TARDIS.
Right.
So it's a pretty safe bet there.
Yeah. So that's how I got that. That's how I acquired that. But yeah, it was really amazing to see, just how enthusiastic everybody in Australia is about their toy collecting, and especially vintage toy collecting and/or vintage properties like Macross and Doctor Who. I mean, look at that. I mean, they just whoop, and I was just thrilled. I mean, it was really humbling.
Yeah, they
It's
nailed
really
that one.
humbling. Yeah.
Well, I mean, given how hard it is, just by, we have an example of, actually going to Australia to get a toy to somebody.
Yeah.
It seems like there is a lot of challenges for Australians to collect. It's just
Right.
not as easy as it is kind of here at the US of A and other mainland places
Right.
to just get things like that. So
Yeah.
seeing the passion that they had and seeing the variety of things that they had was kind of cool.
Yeah. And also the fact that they are passionate about those Australian-specific varieties, like the Toll Toys or those Australian packaged items from back when we were kids. They know the difference. But they're also really into the retro properties being revived. They're into their Japanese robots like we are. They're into their Doctor Who like we are. So that was really encouraging. Do we have any questions on the chat?
A lot.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Mini.
Do you have all the Bandai Chunky Monkey VF1s, and what do you think of the Jetfire repaint for Transformers of that mod?
Yeah, so I have the Bandai Chunky Monkeys. They're over there. I don't have the original Takatokus. I have the Bandai re-releases from several years back, but I have Roy's, Rick's, Max's, and Miria's. I don't have the Ben Dixon variant. I don't have the brown one, but I have the first major four. And I have the Jetfire from when I was a kid, who's in the case over there. The Chunky Monkey Jetfire right there. And I like them. I think they're really cool. I think they're probably some of the best vintage toys that were ever made. I mean, they solid, rugged. They had exact detail. They had good articulation. They were pretty durable. I mean, my Jetfire survived pretty well where other Transformers didn't back then. My Soundwave lost his head. My Optimus Prime lost his leg.
I still haven't taken that one out of the box.
Why would you? I mean, but Jetfire just keeps rolling. I mean, he's great.
I will say that the way those things look is kind of an archetypal look.
Yeah.
That resonated through a lot of different properties. I've seen so many different animes and other things where it just seems like that look with the antennas poking up and everything is just where they go to draw a giant mechanized
Yeah.
police officer or whatever it is they're doing in that show.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And I was a huge MechWarrior fan back in the day. So anyway, we're kind of straying into.
This is all relevant.
territory.
This is all relevant.
What is the bigger bane of pop culture collecting, Mighty Mugs or pop vinyl?
Mighty Mugs are kind of on hiatus. I heard they're coming back. Pop vinyls at least are. Oh, he wants you to raise your microphone so that it's more.
He wants you
Or
to
put it in
get
front of your
close
face.
to the mic.
Sorry, wasn't trying to interrupt.
Put the microphone in front of your face.
Hey everybody, it's me.
So
I'm here now.
I think the greater offender is Mighty Mugs because they are the generic shapes just screen printed with different characters on them. Whereas pop vinyls, while I still am not interested in them, at least the details around the generic body shape are all unique. So like for Doctor Who, Tom Baker's hat, hair, coat, scarf, it's all sculpted. Whereas with Mighty Mugs, they would just screen print the same garbage around the same, or different garbage around the same body. And it would just be this smooth thing.
Just to conserve costs or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Next question.
I want to thank Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey for the super chat. It's no question. He just says I'm not affiliated with Chunky Monkeys in any way.
No, I know Hunky from Twitter. It's good to see you here, man. Thanks for being here.
There's so many.
Yeah, go ahead.
You suddenly stopped talking. So
Oh.
I wasn't prepared. Here's a really interesting, weird question.
Okay.
Why do you collect Star Wars toys?
I collect Star Wars toys because I was collecting them from when I was real small. I mean, I started collecting, when you say collecting, the first toys that I had growing up were Spider-Man pocket figures and Dukes of Hazzard figures. And then very quickly, suddenly I found Star Wars. And Star Wars had all these toys being sold everywhere. And I really liked Star Wars. So then I just started wanting those toys. And so the next thing I knew, it was my true first encounter with collect them all. You know, and I really... You never lose the passion for that first toy line that grabbed you when you were a kid. And so, yeah, that's why I collect it, because it still has that kind of magic to it.
Best flavor of Pop-Tart?
Ooh.
Oh, I'm going to go with blueberry.
Yeah?
Yeah, kind of a surprise, I think, for everyone out there. But yeah,
I
I
like the
love
chocolate
a good
fudge.
blueberry one.
Okay. Mine's more of a draw between strawberry frosted and cinnamon frosted.
Good call. Does it make a difference if it's heated or if it's fresh out of
Always
the
has to
box?
be heated.
Oh, heated. It's got to be. I do.
You won't eat it cold,
I know.
Pop-Tart?
I do eat it cold. I was a Boy Scout. I ate plenty of them cold, but I do like them heated if I
Yeah,
can.
I think I'd switch over to chocolate cold just because it's
Yeah.
you got to keep that creamy factor.
Yep.
Without a doubt.
Were there ever any toys from the Dark Crystal, and do you think there will be? And do you think there will be what with the new Netflix series starting soon?
There were toys planned for the Dark Crystal. They were not released back in 1982 or whatever it was. There have since been some sort of like tribute releases of Dark Crystal figures that are sort of in that vein. And from what I was led to believe, Super 7 or Funko, one of them was going to, or maybe they were toying with the idea of resurrecting that line like they did with Alien, which was never released. It just got to prototype stage. But I'm sure there will be merchandise for the new show.
Thoughts? Thank you, Omega66, for the super chat. He wants to know thoughts on. Of course, it's scrolling super fast. Lots of questions. Okay.
Thoughts on the Galaxy's
Galaxy's
Edge?
Edge
Yeah.
lightsaber workshop.
Have you done any reading about Galaxy's Edge? I have, but I want to know.
have not. I was making a note because I 3D printed that hilt a while back, and
Yeah.
since then my 3D, just full disclosure, my 3D printer has been offline. There were some, as any of you who have 3D printers know this, there's always something fiddly with it, but I had some insulators kind of flake off that I need to put back onto it. But I've been getting more and more interested, especially from a discussion we had at
Right.
lunch today having to do with the KLF or something, I don't know, to getting something going there.
Yeah, so the lightsabers at Galaxy's Edge, apparently from what they're saying online, is that you go into these shops at the Disney Galaxy's Edge world, and you build your own saber, and you can either build the legacy sabers from the film or build your own custom saber. And from what I've been told by people who've been there, you stand in line for 3 hours to build an overpriced FX saber that you can get at Target. I don't know that firsthand. I'd be interested to see how accurate their Luke Empire Strikes Back Graflex is. I've also seen pictures of their Return of the Jedi one for Luke, and they do give you 2 emitters for it. So they give you one that's accurate with the thin neck, but then they give you the other one that holds the blade that's thicker. So there's some thought put into it.
I'd say on paper it sounds fun.
Right.
If anybody has something like that to share once they've done it, it'd be interesting to see it.
Right.
I don't see myself heading down there anytime soon.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so sorry. You guys.
got to keep these questions going. I know.
Hilo King or Hilo King. I'm not sure. Sorry how to say your name. They want to know if you and I are going to the new Star Wars area in Disney and when.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about, Galaxy's Edge. We're probably not going to be going anytime soon because Disney has decided that you're only allowed to be in there for 4 hours, and they time you, and then they kick you out, which is like, I don't even know how, with the crowds, how you could see everything in 4 hours with it being so new. I'm probably, if I'm going to go, I'm going to wait like a year or two, and I'll probably go at the same time that Melinda and I finally go see the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, because we haven't been there yet.
It's Universal Studios.
Yeah.
And that I think it might be kind of a fun game to try and see if they can catch me after 4 hours and actually kick me out.
Plus, they don't let you wear costumes.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of things that I have questions about.
Yeah, they sell costumes, but they don't let you wear them once you buy them. It's really, I'm waiting to see the fallout from about 6 months of patronage to
I
this.
bet you they're going to normalize this a little bit.
Yeah.
The first people to go are probably going to have the weirdest experience.
Right.
And then it should
Right.
smooth out a little bit.
Did you try Vegemite when you were in Australia?
You know, it's the one thing that I didn't get around to, and it's, I know, it was
on the list.
it was on the list.
We sat down and we made a list.
I know,
And it
but
was on the list.
It was one of the few things I really, I mean, it was like, do I eat a Vegemite sandwich or do I go see the shooting locations of Mad Max? And I was like, I'm going to go see Mad Max shooting locations.
A sandwich is a hand meal. You can go
You're
see
right.
the shooting locations with a Vegemite sandwich in hand.
You're
Next
right.
time,
You're right.
it's okay.
You're right. I meant to. I'm still open to it.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I bet you could get it imported here. I bet you.
Thoughts on New Coke, and are you going to try the re-release?
Yes, I will definitely try the re-release. And unpopular opinion, I suspect you might like it, given your penchant for Pepsi.
Now, I remember when we were kids and New Coke came out, and I didn't like it, and I wanted Coke Classic.
Yeah,
but
you were
I'm also
kid.
a Pepsi fan.
Yeah, and
so
they were imitating Pepsi's
Right.
sweetness profile and everything else
Right,
with
yeah.
the new Coke.
Right. So I'll try it. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on modern toys based on vintage properties?
We are doing a video now on the Star Wars Retro Collection, for one. We are going to be getting in the Bandai Soul of Chogokin Die Rugger Vehicle Voltron in November. We have that pre-ordered. So we have a few examples of things coming in. And you and I did the, I think it was you and I, or was it you and I and Gary? We all did the G.I. Joe
Yeah,
live stream.
I was flipped over there. I was
Right.
behind the camera. For
Right,
that
we were
one.
doing that live stream with all the modern figures out front, talking about modern versus vintage G.I. Joe. I think they're done well enough. Here's where I get off the beaten path with this. The biggest problem with modern is that they're not providing enough volume to meet demand.
Yeah.
They're building in scarcity, or they're just ineptly not getting product to stores.
I feel like there's got to be something going on there
Yeah.
because it seems like inevitably you hear about a new property that comes out, you head to Target or wherever you go to find this stuff, and the shelves are just empty. And I don't know if that's because they only got 2,
Right.
and they just sold out instantly, or if there's just no kind of being kind of operations minded. Is there any planning going on for the logistics of that?
Right. Like I
So-
went the other day, it was on Friday or Thursday. I've been collecting because I'm working on a video about the collector's fad of the 6-inch scale figures.
Yeah.
You know, every collector seems to want 6-inch scale now. And so I went to, I was driving home and I decided to stop in a local Walmart because I just thought maybe they'll have the new Captain America from Endgame. Who apparently that Captain America had just come out. But I'm so used to not finding stuff that I thought I was just doing this,
Going through the
just
motions.
because. Well, I go in there and lo and behold, they had it. And I was like, for once, they had what I heard came out and was looking for, and I grabbed it and walked out of there with it. That was really nice.
It's good fortune.
I see things going
There's
on.
so many questions.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get to as many.
Okay.
You've talked about D&D in the past. Have you had any experience with other tabletop games like Warhammer, Hero Quest, etc.?
Have you done a lot of role playing?
I haven't done the tabletop stuff. I've always said I wanted to get into it, and everybody tells me that it's perfect for me.
Right.
But no, I haven't. I had a lot of friends who did, and I was always fascinated by the aspect of collecting and painting all of your figures, and then all of the intricacies of the game board. Like they would steal my models I painted as a child and use them for Warhammer games.
Right, yeah.
And I would get them back, and they would be destroyed.
Yeah, with the big hex fields and
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
like that. Yeah, my brother is huge into tabletop. He loves Warhammer 40K and Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and he's been into those games since the early 90s when we lived in the UK. He actually worked at a retail games workshop for a while. So I'm familiar with them. I've played them to a certain degree. I even played Weston Games Star Wars miniature battles for a little bit when I was a young kid or adolescent. I don't do a lot of that now because I'm invested in all of this rather than all of that. So you have to kind of pick your battles.
I could see setting up a table down here, though, and
Yeah.
going through a campaign or two,
That would be cool.
ordering a pizza,
Can we do that later?
drinking a new Coke.
Yeah, we can order a pizza later.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Pizza?
Yay!
By the way, thanks for the shout out on the last podcast that got posted up on YouTube. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we're going to be sort of rolling out a new thing with that soon, so stay tuned for more Dreamland podcasts coming onto YouTube. So restoration question, Logan Michael found a Superpowers Batman at a garage sale. It's missing an ear and part of its left foot, and it's covered in Sharpie. How does he get rid of 30-year-old Sharpie? Someone suggested Toy Polloy has a video about that.
Yeah, Toy Polloy. Definitely check out Dave Moss's channel, Toy Polloy. That guy is a wizard and a genius, and I can't recommend his channel enough for that. As far as what I would start with something, if it's not on a painted part of the figure, like if it's on like one of the molded color parts, I would start with something very light, like a Q-tip or a cotton swab with lighter fluid on it. And I would just try to hand scrub that off with the cotton swab. If that doesn't work, then, and first try soap and water and then dry and then do the cotton swab with lighter fluid. That would be my first step.
Thank you, Scott, for the pizza money on the super chat.
No kidding, that's awesome.
Oh, dude, Scott, thank you so much.
He says, welcome home, pizza's on me.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Now, we also have to play D&D, though.
That's what you really meant, right?
That
was
is
the
what I
D&D.
actually meant.
Yeah.
But we can have pizza, too. 'Cause
I just heard
who
pizza.
doesn't love pizza?
Just remember, rubbing alcohol can dissolve ABS plastics, so be very careful with how you deal with that.
Yeah, very careful. James Stacy, thank you so much for the super chat. He wants to know if you watched any Crocodile Dundee before your trip.
Well, I don't know if this is good to admit or not, but when I grew up as a kid, Crocodile Dundee was huge in the late 80s. And so I saw Crocodile Dundee 1 a lot because my mom bought it on video cassette. And then Crocodile Dundee 2 made the cable rotation after I saw it in the theater. And I saw that movie like 7 times. So Crocodile Dundee 1 and 2 are always, they were in my head a lot. And I was also listening to a lot of Ice House, because...
And of course, Kylie.
Minogue, so...
Someone earlier in the chat, I can't remember who, asked if you got any Kylie stuff when you were over there.
I did get Kylie stuff. Would you like to see the Kylie stuff I got?
Hooray! Michael's
All right.
gonna get up and
And
leave
Michael
the
gets
table.
up
I'll be
and
right back.
walks away.
So let me find. Someone says that they love the Dreamcast on Dreamland podcast. I assume on Street Hawk.
I like to think that there was actually a Sega Dreamcast video game called Street Hawk. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that one was so much fun to make. That is a show, if you've listened, you'd know I hadn't seen it before, but I had so much fun. Like, I still have episodes of that I pick up every once in a while just to take a look and see, because it's such a bizarre idea to think that you would take like a detective or a police officer or somebody and put them on a motorcycle and then have them be stealthy in any way.
Right.
Like, try to sneak up on a crime in progress. And it's just off in the distance you hear, vroom, 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 vroom.
So I know Michael's coming back. So Michael, don't hold up what you're about to hold up yet. I
Okay.
want to ask Aaron, What is your favorite podcast episode that we've done so far? I'm going to be a Dragon Con person from the audience and ask you, what's your favorite episode of the thing you do? But what is the favorite?
This is going to be weird. I'm going to rule out the KLF podcast because that's an outlier. And I don't know how that's not everyone's. That's the favorite podcast or episode of the podcast. But I really loved the episode on the Colbys, which is weird because I did not like evening soap opera style things. But
it was horrible to watch, and I didn't know if it was going to translate into the podcast well. But I think you're right. It's a good solid episode.
the pain made it better.
Like Mystery Science Theater, right?
Yeah, it was just like, what?
Okay, go.
So sorry for hearing all my footsteps because I'm on a lav, but I tried to be as, quiet as I could, but there's wooden steps on the way up, so sorry about that. So someone asked me what Kylie stuff I got when I was in Australia. Now, one, which I don't know if there's going to be glare on this. Is that visible pretty well?
I'm glaring at it.
Okay, so this is Kylie's album from 1994, which at the time, CDs were really ramping up in 94. So this album was only originally pressed, I believe, in Holland, but they re-released it in 2016 in the UK only as a Sainsbury's grocery store exclusive, right? So
Grocery stores are so cool over there.
yeah, so JB Hi-Fi, which is sort of Australia's Best Buy, it's almost like Best Buy meets Media Play. Like it's just,
Okay.
It's still chock full of great stuff. They had imported a number of them from the UK back 3 years ago, and Logan, who gave me the He-Man figures, he started calling around while I was, doing other stuff. He called around and found a JB Hi-Fi right outside Melbourne that still had a copy of this and reserved it. And we went over there and I bought it. So this is really special to me because this is the album that I missed because I left the UK in '93 right before this album would have come out. So I never got to.
Would you ever see yourself opening it, playing it on a turntable?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've got the 2-disc deluxe CD of it as well. But having the album with this photography on it and everything is just great. And then Brent was, as you saw in the video, Brent was just super great guy. And the night before I left, Brent took all of us out to dinner. He got Adrian and Brian and Andrew and Chris and a number of people together, and we all went out to dinner again, and he treated us all to dinner at this really nice Italian restaurant right there near where we had the Saturday night thing. And as a thank you, he brought me the deluxe edition of Kylie's latest album. And just to give you a little useless information
It's funny,
about
that looks like a book.
It is. It's got like the disc in it. It's got the artwork and all that stuff. It's really, really nice. So here's the weird thing about this, as I almost messed it up. So this album, she recorded a lot of it in Nashville, Tennessee, which is where I was born and grew up. So the whole thing comes full circle. So anyway, I'm going to shut.
Optic Razor 21 wants to know if you think Samantha Fox has a better voice.
I like Samantha Fox. I think she's an icon of that era. When I was growing up in the UK in the early 90s, Kylie was she was that rising superstar. And so that voice is always going to bring me back to a great time in my life. No matter how new the song is, I always know her voice. So for me, that's why she's special in my musical history. So my music history.
What do you think about Hasbro releasing Star Wars cardstock playsets now? Walmart is selling one for $50, but it's honestly not very good. I got those pre-printed characters. I know you don't like. So that's what.
Yeah, Hasbro just made a cardstock kind of playset off the movie Solo, and it's some sort of scene from Solo, I guess. It's some sort of facility, but it's made out of this cardstock. It's not plastic.
I do remember the facility from Solo.
Okay, yeah, I know you've seen it. So
yeah, it's one of my favorites of the modern Star Wars movies.
Yeah, I mean, you have 2 young kids.
I do.
How long would a cardboard playset last in their care?
It depends, actually. They hey guys, how you doing out there?
They're also
I think
not
they're
boys, so that's one.
Well, no, they're not boys, but they're kids. I mean, kids are kids, you know.
I think you'd be surprised. I think it really depends on how much they love the thing. Sometimes loving it a lot can mean it breaks sooner.
Right.
But for cardstock, I think we would probably get an effective like 2 or 3 weeks where everything was in one place. The biggest issue I think when you have children playing with toys is that if they have lots of parts, they don't all stay together.
Right.
Everything sort of merges into one giant play set, kind of like Lego, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think if you're doing it if you're getting it for nostalgia's sake to do something like this, it would probably last a really long time.
Right.
But if kids are going to play with it, yeah, they're gonna learn that they need to take care of things with a play set like that.
Any other questions?
There's a lot of questions. I'm just sort of scrolling through many things all of a sudden. Like, you
Okay.
guys stop talking all of a sudden.
Oh,
You have a daughter saying hi, Daddy.
I saw that.
Aria saying hello.
Hey.
Did you see Avengers Endgame and did you like it?
yeah, I saw Endgame and I loved it. I thought it was great. It's not my favorite Marvel MCU movie as far as the ranking in my personal list.
Endgame and I loved it. Please continue.
But yeah, I saw it and really liked it. I thought it was good. Did you see it?
I have not.
Oh, okay.
I've been so super busy, just podcasting and mowing.
He's a put upon person, everyone.
Are there
Put
any
upon.
old video or current video games that you're playing and any that you're looking forward to?
Take it away. I know you were playing something.
Actually, my go-to going back game is not going back far enough, probably for all of you fans. I'm a huge fan of the Fallout series, and I've been playing Fallout 4 and Fallout Shelter quite a bit. But I do spend a lot of time, oddly, playing Minecraft. I know that folks out there are probably kicking me because of the time that I spend at least watching my wife play Zelda, the new Zelda game on the Switch and things like that. So. Yeah, I'm really hoping to get my hands on some more stuff soon. I did buy all the old Jedi Knight games on Steam. So every once in a while, when I get that hankering, I'll go pull one of those up and go, oh yeah, this is what this used to be like.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that I can't ever get those older games to run when I buy them on Steam. I can't figure out how to get them to run after I buy them on Steam. So like I just found out that Limited Run Games is doing a physical copy recreation limited edition of X-Wing.
Right.
And I was told that when they do those, they make sure that they run on a modern Windows operating system. But sometimes, like when I got Tomb Raider 2 on Steam as part of the Tomb Raider package,
Yeah.
I couldn't get it to run right. And so I don't know if they
So-
modify it or if they just say, here's the program, good luck and go with God kind of thing.
There's some good stuff out there. I know everybody says DOSBox and everything, but there's some newer projects out there that actually do emulation for all different kinds, including things like slowing the clock speed down.
Right.
Is everybody looking? What's going on?
No, I have to say, Final Fantasy VII Remake and the original Command and Conquer that's getting remade is going to be epic. That's what I'm waiting on.
So the Final Fantasy VII Remake, yes, does look amazing. I hope we get that sometime in our lifetime because I know how they are. And the Command and Conquer remake I've heard is coming has everyone getting goosebumps. And I realized why the great multitude of people were screaming at me. I have been playing Final Fantasy X with my daughter off and on for the last couple of months or weeks because it was a lot of fun and she's having a blast going through that. And I know that's going back to the late 90s, early aughts. But yeah.
And I've been playing Elite Sniper 4, and I've also gotten addicted to Marvel Strike Force on my phone because it came with my new Samsung phone. And now I'm on a cell phone game, and I feel dirty. So anyway.
You haven't bought anything in the game.
No, I have not. I have not made one in-game purchase.
They want to know Depeche Mode or Duran Duran.
Depeche for me.
Duran Duran for me, but no disrespect to
I'm
Depeche
actually
Mode.
torn because I like the aesthetic of Depeche Mode more, but the fact that they're super electronic and not playing real instruments kind of bums me out.
We're
a
not
little
friends
bit.
anymore.
So I kind of like Duran Duran more because they actually play guitars and actual drums. The biggest thing is I have to have real drums. Those dinky little.
Oh, they're terrible.
I just hate them. So.
I have no problem with Depeche Mode. It's just if I'm forced to choose, I listen to Duran Duran a lot more than Depeche Mode. So
I actually probably listen to Depeche Mode more because they're a little bit more emo-y and dark, which is my aesthetic. But I do appreciate Duran Duran more. Anyway.
I like to think I celebrate their whole catalog.
Oh, thank you. Did you ever have Crystar toys as a kid? Michael?
No, I didn't have them as a kid. I've got them now. I mean, the Crystar Castle's right there, complete. The Crystar crew is down there. I don't have the catapults, and I don't have a lot of those playset battle packs.
It's a shame they didn't have trebuchets.
I know.
The
that would've been
superior
nice.
siege instrument.
Yeah, trebuchet is always welcome. But I do have the dragons, and I have the cast of characters, and I have the castle, so I'm pretty content. Yeah.
You've mentioned this before, but could you please remind us where you got the acrylic display stands for your vintage Star Wars ships?
Yes. So there is a guy on eBay who's out of, I want to say it's South Georgia, somewhere here where we live in this state. For those of you who don't live in the United States, but he sells the custom-made stands, the acrylic stands for the different ships, and he's on eBay. I cannot, for the life of me now, remember his name, but I've said it in previous. I think I said it in the studio tour video. So go back and look at the studio tour video. I think.
Favorite or least favorite, and least favorite Bespin Luke of the ones you have?
My favorite Bespin Luke is always going to be this one right here from when I was a kid. This is my childhood one, reunited with vintage original weapons. I did lose those as a child. That's one of the reasons that Star Wars has always been such a quest for me, toy-wise, is because that was when I learned once you lose accessories and you don't have them again, it's very frustrating. My least favorite Bespin Luke that I have as far as vintage, it's probably one of the blonde-haired ones that doesn't have... They all had slightly different faces.
Yeah.
It's because of the different factories they would come from. So like if it was a Taiwan one, it had a different face versus Hong Kong versus the one that said Macau versus the one that said China. My childhood Bespin Luke actually doesn't have a country of origin stamp, which is weird, even though he came from Circus World and I pulled him off the card. But that's also a known variant, or no date stamps at all. I guess
like Destiny.
Yeah. My least favorite one are probably the ones where the eyes are painted slightly too close together, so they look a little like, so that's probably my best answer.
Did you guys watch the revamped Battlestar Galactica in the early aughts, and if so, what did you think of it?
I know you have.
I did. I watched that thing all the way through, and I thought it was kind of off and on amazing all the way through the process. It took a long time to get made, so I came to it after the fact. Tim Witten was constantly telling me I would like it, and why are you glaring at me? Because you wanted me to mention you.
Tell them the story. Be honest.
I don't know what story you want me to tell them, Mr. Witten. I really don't know what story.
I watched it live. You watched it after the fact.
Okay, everybody, just for the record, Tim Witten is better than me in every way possible. Just want you all to know that. But yeah, it was one of those things that watching it, when I watched it, at the behest of Tim over many years telling me that I needed to see it, I ended up loving it at the time. Now going back, it's very hard to watch. It's like there were a lot of lessons learned from that show that we've seen develop further in new things. And going back, it feels strange.
Yeah.
Sorry. You guys suddenly stopped talking, and I'm like, wait, I wasn't listening. And I didn't realize you were about to
I'm
say
just waiting for Tim to pop around that corner again and be like, now wait a minute here, Aaron.
How many Lukes did you collect as a kid, Michael?
How many Lukes did I have as a kid? I had every Luke Skywalker in the vintage line except the Stormtrooper Luke Skywalker. I never did get him, but I had the Endor Luke. He was one of the last, I believe Endor Luke was the last Star Wars figure I ever bought at retail from the last 17. I would have gotten the Stormtrooper Luke, but I just didn't have time before the line ended. Because as a kid, you don't have unlimited money and you can't just go buy everything. You're at the whim of your parents.
He's a little short to be a Stormtrooper.
True.
What do you think is the best He-Man variant? Of all the various...
I like the original He-Man. I do. I like the original He-Man and the original Skeletor, and then after that, I like the Battle Damage He-Man and Skeletor because they were both the earliest versions. We had this Power Punch guy, and he looks cool-ish, and you put ring caps in his back, and then you turn him, and it goes bang, when he hits somebody. But he's a very limited character, and then the one that had there's this helicopter bolo weapon thing. It was all right, I guess, but I liked the ones that weren't so locked into gimmicks. I liked the ones that were a little more, you could do whatever you wanted with them.
Were you a ring caps guy or the long spool that you could pull out?
I never could figure out the strip caps,
Yeah.
so I was more of a ring caps kid.
Yeah, I liked the longer spool because I would just get a hammer and sit there and be like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they
Go
were more
through this.
versatile in that
Yeah.
respect, yeah.
Make
Yes.
more loud noises.
Can 90s Power of the Force be considered vintage now?
I know some people do. I think well, I think it's important that, because what are you going to start calling it? Because the first 90s stuff still said Kenner on it, even though it was owned by Hasbro.
Yeah.
But they still carried the Kenner brand. So we have to start delineating these things. And so, like, yes, there are vintage toys because they're a certain age, but some people say that means anything that's 20 years or older. So once something hits 20 years, it's vintage, right?
Right.
But with Star Wars, you've got toys that are 20 years older that weren't the original toys. So do you have different nomenclature where you say all the original Kenner stuff from 78 to 85 we'll call vintage Star Wars, and then Power of the Force 2 will always be Power of the Force 2, you know?
I just like, how do we do that? Yes, without sounding like we're gatekeeping.
I'm not trying to gatekeep.
No, but I understand
right.
the distinction is important.
Right.
But then, like, how do we do that without being like, well, actually?
Well, see, the thing is that I'm not trying to protect the word vintage for Kenner. What I'm trying to do is stop the confusion, because it's like, let's put them in buckets.
Or somebody who
give
doesn't
them...
collect like you, and they go on and they see the word vintage and they get something from the later collection.
Well,
right?
there's already been confusion over the retro collection versus the vintage collection, because the vintage collection in Hasbro's mind are super articulated characters, but they come on vintage retro card backs. Whereas the retro collection are recreations of these guys that come on retro card backs.
Yeah.
So people are like, well, I've already seen the vintage collection. I can't mistake it for a vintage figure. They don't look anything the same. And I'm like, no. We're talking about retro collection now, not vintage collection. So it's gotten very confused.
So somebody asks me what my top 5 metal bands, I guess, of somebody said in the 80s were, and then just in general, but I'm just going to sort of spitball. I would have to start with Megadeth because they were my first favorite. I got to go with Judas Priest. Probably Motorhead would need to go in there. Edge of Sanity is my favorite now, and I know they were a little bit more 90s, and then Nevermore because Warl Dane is the man. Next question for you guys. What does RetroBlasting think about Mattel bringing back Masters of the Universe starting with this year's SDCC?
Yeah, I saw something about they're bringing out like this 2-pack of Masters of the Universe He-Mans, and they both look like they're from the mini comics that came with the first figures. So one's He-Man and one's the Prince Adam that isn't in purple and pink. He's like in a blue tunic, like, because he's from the original mini comic. I mean, I think it's neat that they're doing it. It makes me wonder what's going to happen to Super 7, because Super 7 is still doing the sort of Matty Collector style of He-Man. They're doing the big Snake Mountain that's like $600. So I wonder what's going to happen to that license if Mattel suddenly takes it back. Like, Mattel did Matty Collector, it was successful. Mattel willfully gave it up, and now they're taking it back. I don't know what they're ramping up for. I keep hearing about a movie or something, but we'll see.
Maybe they're just trying to outdo Super 7.
Well, but they wouldn't have to. They could just say, Super 7, you can't do anything again. We're going to,
Well, what's interesting is when I was a kid, I used to think that there was a lot of thoughtfulness that went into everything having to do with a large corporation. The older I get, the more I realize that it's murky, it's not predictable. Sometimes there are dumb reasons why things happen the way that they do. So
That's
sometimes it's
shocking,
messy
Aaron.
and it's
Working
ugly
in a large
back there.
corporation. That's shocking. Anyway, as a collector of older and rarer stuff, what's the best part? The research, the hunt for the parts and figure, or the final complete part? Great question, by the way.
I think for me, the thrill has always been in the parts showing up and then being able to divvy those parts out to the various things that needed them. I think I've said this before, but when I have something that's incomplete and it's missing like 2 parts, I don't want to go out and then buy something else that's already complete, because that would defeat the purpose of the search. What I like to do is try and wait and find that lot that's just those 2 parts I need. And then when they show up, they get 1-to-1 absorbed into the collection. And so then I don't have anything left over. That's the biggest thrill for me.
All right, I want to grab Tim's attention real quick. Tim Whitten, there's a question here that I think is one I would defer to you on 100%. RetroBlasting, does it freak you out that Deep Space Nine Season 3 2-parter predicted the LA homeless crisis? Go.
No, because everything Star Trek is true.
Everything Star Trek is true and awesome. Truer words have never
You
been
heard it here
spoken.
first. If you could only take one Star Wars action figure with you to a desert island, I don't know what you'd be doing with one at a desert island, but okay.
We're just gonna we're gonna assume he has a good reason.
How about if you had to save one from the house because it was on fire?
And Bespin Luke can't be on the list.
Nothing Star Wars can be on the list.
Oh, did they say one Star
No,
Wars?
I'm just
Okay, so
changing
they
the
said
question.
one vintage Star Wars figure, or one figure.
Well, they said Star Wars, and then I said not Star Wars.
Oh,
So
well,
I guess vintage Star Wars. They
If it's
wanted
vintage Star Wars, I'm taking Bespin Luke with me. That's and that's a hard choice because Chewbacca here was my very first.
All right,
figure.
fine. Which Bespin
Imperial
Luke?
Dignitary.
That one.
that Bespin Luke would be
That
going
one.
with me.
Tim said Imperial Dignitary.
No, he lies. He'd take the Emperor with him. I know
think he'd
Tim.
be better conversation.
Okay. Why do you think? This is a very weird question. Maybe Aaron can answer this. Why do you think My Pet Monster is so expensive now? The price is going up more and more.
I would guess scarcity,
And also that it's a stuffed animal, so I bet you a lot of them are sort of gnarly
and
at this
they
point.
deteriorate a lot faster,
Right.
Or get hugged by dogs a lot more often,
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, I bet so. Like my brother grew up with, he was slightly late to the game, and so he ended up getting the My Pet Monster football variant that came with the football helmet on.
Yeah.
He still got that My Pet Monster and his pet. My Pet Monster came with like a puppet pet that you could also get. So I know the whole
Okay, so maybe part of it is also accessories.
Yeah.
Being harder to find.
Yeah, true.
This person's asking about you doing a restoration video for the Kenner Knight Rider kit car.
Yeah, the record player in the back for the Knight Rider kit car. A lot of people have asked me to do that. The only reason I haven't done it yet is because mine doesn't require breaking into it, and I really don't want to do that if I don't have to. One of the things about running a channel like ours is people request certain toys to be repaired. But if your toy doesn't require repairs, the last thing you want to do is start going into it just to do a video and show people what it looks like, because you might break something in the process. So kid gloves at all times. If I ever get a kit car to work on, then I'll do it, absolutely. But that thing it's the kind of thing that'll put you on pins and needles, because it's plastic tabbed together, and that plastic will creak and squeak, and you don't want to break anything. And so yeah.
What are your thoughts on modern reproductions of vintage toys?
I thought I just answered this, but I'll answer it again.
Did I ask you that before?
Well, yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
in different words, but I see a lot of waves of new folks coming through, so there may be some new stuff.
we're going to be doing a video about the Star Wars Retro Collection soon, and we're going to be doing a video about the SOC, Soul the Chogokin Die Rugger from Bondi, the vehicle Voltron, coming out in November. I don't have a problem with reproductions of vintage toys for the collector. I do take issue sometimes, like in the case of the Retro Collection with Hasbro. Why are they making them so hard to find? This is what people have wanted. Don't make them hard to find. Make them more plentiful. Allow people to get their hands on them.
So I know you sort of started talking about it earlier, but a lot of people want to know about this Valkyrie.
Yeah, this
Some
Valkyrie.
people are like, why is that on my RetroBlasting? And others are like, hey, can anyone tell me what's in that box?
Yeah, this is the 30th anniversary Macross Valkyrie. It was given to me by Brian when I was in Australia. It was a gift that I did not know I would be receiving. He knew I was working on the Robotech series, which I'm working on part 2 right now, and part 4 will be the one about the toys. So he wanted to get me a modern one. Melinda actually has a Yamato VF1J from a few years ago on a larger scale, but he wanted me to see this version, the 30th anniversary. So that's why this is on the table. It's part of my swag bag from Australia. It was a very, very generous donation on his part.
Thank you, Scott Knudsen, for the donation, not donation, but the super chat. He says, I'm surprised there's no Jerry Anderson stuff on the channel, Thunderbirds, UFO, etc., especially with your time in the UK. Is it because there's a lack of merchandise, or are you just not into it?
Scott, I'm going to tell you, I love the Thunderbirds. I love anything involving, those marionettes and puppets. Remember those shows that would have like the puppets? Almost like Team America is what was sort of aping off that. You know, that look.
They're faintly menacing.
Yeah.
A little adorable.
Yeah, but I love the Thunderbirds because it was all done in camera. It was all, you know, and I would love to have Thunderbirds toys, especially the Thunderbird 2. But I just don't have them yet because when I was living in the UK, I was an adolescent into a teenager, so I wasn't really buying that many toys. I was buying some vintage Star Wars stuff off people, but I wasn't getting immersed in a lot of child age stuff when I was there. So I would love to put together a collection now, though.
Hilo King wants to know if, after your trip to Australia, have you thought about traveling to other places like Mexico City to hunt for parts and toys? There's a huge market there, and I just want to weigh in that I would definitely go to Mexico City because I would love the food. It would be beautiful. I love all the archaeology, and I speak enough Spanish that I could at least read the signs.
I would be more than happy to travel to Mexico City to do that. That sounds exciting. I mean, I love any. I'm getting ahead of myself, but like I said in the Brent video, I've always been doing retroblasting with the idea of connecting the community together. It's about building that broader community and recognizing that broader community, which is why I was so mad when I found out that, you know, non-U.S. resident collectors were being denied certain things. In this modern age, that shouldn't be the case. So yeah, I'd love to connect with the Mexican toy community closer, the toy collecting community there. Absolutely.
Are you ever going to fix Broken Vader?
Yeah.
That's the answer. That sound was the answer. Best 80s cartoon theme song or 90s.
I got into a good-natured argument that I accidentally started this past week with people who said that the best opening.
I just stood back like this.
The best opening for any cartoon ever was the 90s, as far as music, was the 90s X-Men cartoon. And I thought, it's just one repetitive series of notes over and over and over again. It's just this guitar riff. Like, it's not, and then it just does that over and over again. You know, it's not that dynamic.
That's really good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would do more. I would do more of a. My vote would be more for Jason the Wheeled Warriors or trying to think Galaxy Rangers. Just something where they really put everything into it, and you could make it a single on the radio if you wanted to.
I'd go hard 90s Invader Zim.
Invader Zim?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So somebody wants top 5, but I'm going to say top 3 for both of you 80s movies.
Top 3 80s movies. Oh, you go first because I'm thinking.
Empire Strikes Back, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then it's a toss-up for me between, depending on what mood I'm in, Back to the Future or Ghostbusters gets the third slot. So,
definitely Buckaroo Banzai would be in there. One of the Police Academy movies, can't remember which one off the top of my head, but
5.
it involved a zoo. I loved that one.
There were so many unanswered questions from the first 4.
I know. I can't wait to find out what really happens and how they get their superpowers. Need more origin stories.
Yes.
And then probably Khan, Star Trek.
yeah, see, that's the tough part.
I mean, I love one for different reasons too. You
Yeah.
know, it's sort of like one's a pop song, one is like a moving classical feast
Right.
of movie.
Yeah, like Star Trek 2. That's one that I might even supplant Back to the Future and Ghostbusters with Star Trek 2.
Gosh.
Because what?
Nothing.
I mean, is it
There's a lot of
someone's ripping on me?
No.
No? Okay.
It's my turn.
Aaron liked Pretty in Pink, apparently. I was going to say every John Hughes movie was what you should have said.
Well, heck yeah.
I mean,
Gosh darn.
Come on, guys. My Science Project. It's a good movie. I mean, I've heard it's a good movie. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it's a good movie. The one I pass.
It's a great movie.
It's the one I pass in the video store every time. We all have those. We pass them in the video store. We still haven't watched them. So, sorry.
this person says, asks about the episode of our show where we went to the arcade. I was just talking about that Golden Axe arcade
Yeah.
earlier. Where was that? Was in North Carolina?
North Carolina. Yeah, we
Yeah.
went to an arcade in North Carolina several years back. And,
That's a deep cut.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
Noah's Arcade, I believe, was the name of the.
What a
No,
great name.
Noah's Arcade is in Wayne's World.
It was something like that. There was a play on the word arcade.
Yeah, it was a play on arcade, but I don't think it was Noah's
No,
Arcade.
It wasn't.
That's
You're
Wayne's
right.
World.
My brain is like, mixing it up.
And Wayne's World is a movie.
Wayne's
Tim
World
says
is a
5
movie.
minutes, but I mean, honestly, we're the bosses, so we can make as long as we want.
I just gotta click the button.
That's right. We just got to order that pizza. And
So
get that
Tim is
D&D.
holding the live stream hostage for pizza.
We'll go as long as y'all want.
Mark Gordon
Tim
says that
has the
Batman the
power.
Animated Series had the best opening of any series. I would have to say that one is really good.
Best opening.
Yes.
Best opening theme, though, it used the theme from the movie. So if we're talking original opening
Right.
theme song.
I was about to say that.
Right. Yeah.
Michael, do you have any Tiger Sharks?
No, I don't, because they're super expensive, and not that that's ever been a barrier to me, but they're very hard to find complete and in working order, because a lot of them have the flip heads like Power Rangers did and Monstar from Silverhawks. So it's hard to find them, with both chest plates and all the stuff, and then they're expensive.
Jerry Harris, I agree with you. Better Off Dead is a great 80s flick.
Yeah,
It
there are tons of
definitely-
great 80s films. You asked me to pick 3. I mean, how do I do that?
Well, I think you did a great job.
You just say 3 out loud.
Okay.
They're saying do a Ninja song as a live performance at Dragon.
Do a Ninja song as a live performance.
Michael's response to that is redacted.
How about if everybody on the live stream sort of yells out a topic that they think that we should do for DragonCon this year, and then we, use those to sort of brainstorm around ideas of what would be a
Absolutely, yeah.
fun topic to
Get
talk
that
about.
idea out there.
Yeah. So, did you watch Happy Days?
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah. I don't think I've really watched it since I was a kid.
No, I mean, we
Yeah,
were kind
I
of
have.
held hostage with serial television, right? It
Yeah.
was just kind of on.
Yeah.
But I have to say, there was something that 70s show kind of brought something of that back for me, of just sort of what everybody was doing that day
Right.
in the diner or in the basement or whatever.
Yeah.
Bionic 6 or
Hey.
Mighty Orbot's theme?
Uh,
Bionic 6, I would say.
yeah, Bionic 6 probably edges out Mighty Orbots. And plus, Bionic 6 had a great toy line, which I will be getting to, Tim, this year, I promise.
Man, Tim's just been...
Oh, hey. He's a ground floor player in this crazy ride we're all on.
I like this, Tim.
Sorry, I'm
I can
scrolling
hear him
back
come
up.
running whenever he's got something. Just...
Scott says that a solid argument can be made that the 80s was the best decade for American cinema, due respect to the 30s and all, but they had no Indiana Jones. What are your thoughts on that? Film guy, Michael.
On 30 Cinema?
No, on whether there can be a solid argument made that the 80s was the best decade for American cinema.
And he cited the 30s as another great decade.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
cinema,
yeah,
but they didn't have Indiana Jones, even
Right.
though chronologically
It's
the fictional
kind of-
character Indiana
The
Jones would have
80s,
lived.
the 80s had the most independence as far as production companies. So, while the 30s had really quality screenwriters and stuff like that at the time, there were things going on in our culture in the 30s that limited other aspects of entertainment. Whereas the 80s, I think, was this beautiful mesh of a lot of independent production companies that were kicking off very original, out there ideas. And also we had the better technology, so we could realize more on film. We could do more things than we could in the 30s. We didn't have ships on wires and stuff like that.
They weren't all still acting like this.
Yes, they weren't acting like radio
Hot
performers.
crackers, Michael.
Hot crackers.
I look sharp in black and white, but
But yeah, I do think there's an argument to be made for that. And I've also said in the past that the late 80s into the early 90s might have been, when I say early 90s, I mean not anything past 92, 93, because that was when special effects and screenwriting were finally on a balance beam. And since then, I think the vast majority of screenplays with special effects heavy projects have gone in favor of the effects and not the story. And so if you're looking at like Terminator 2, The Rocketeer, like all of those films in there, I think were great. And that's a product of 80s innovation. So yeah.
When and where is DragonCon?
DragonCon is in Atlanta every year on Labor Day weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend.
it's the last time I can wear white.
DragonCon.org. Just go and check it out. So somebody wants to know. Well, there are a few really good ideas for panels, which we might totally steal. So thanks for that. Any updates on?
We're
the
not
RT
stealing them because they gave them to us.
No, I know, but I mean,
Thank you.
Somebody asked if you were watching Chernobyl.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, Aaron. Have you watched Chernobyl since that was your thing on our podcast?
I have, and it's a shame we're out of time. Maybe I can find some other venue to talk about this. But yeah, I definitely got a lot to say. It may be something that comes up somewhere else on a podcast
Any
at some
update
point.
on the R2D2 that we're working on?
Yeah, the head came back. We posted a picture somewhere. I can't remember if it was on Facebook or Patreon or Twitter or
One of them social media platforms.
one of them channels that we have. Nerds.
Was it on the Facebook?
No, I'm not sure.
Did you just say nerds?
I said nerds to that. But we are getting ready to get the paint for the blue panels so that we can airbrush it, or I should say so Melinda can airbrush it, but we have to figure out how to cut the matte paper to make sure that we mask everything off.
What paint color is that?
They recommended a Tamiya clear blue,
Okay.
and then we're going to have to mix it into airbrush and then do several layers.
There's a funny story on that. Some of the R2D2 collectors, I don't remember exactly when this was. There has been a lot of dispute over that paint because, as you know, with different prints, it looks a different color on film.
Right.
There was always debate. Well, one of the folks who were involved with the movie brought the on-set R2 to whatever this Star Wars conference, and they found the R2 Builders Club, and they just sort of walked in with the R2 and left it and said, we're coming back in about 10 minutes, guys. Can you keep an eye on this for us? And just let them take photographs and get everything they needed so they could work out this stuff.
That's
So
cool.
It's a kind of a neat story about how they got helped out.
That's cool.
That's why I asked.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
there's a little dispute there.
Right. And there's disputes about what the exact color of the one on the Kenner toy is, which is why we're going with clear blue. So.
And yes, my Chernobyl answer is kind of a promise. I do plan to talk about it on Dreamland at some point.
Drago IV, I don't know if that's how you say your name. Drago IV 80, happy birthday. I don't really want to be on camera because I don't have all my makeup on, but I'll tell you happy birthday. Happy birthday. So, blah, blah, blah. You guys talk.
Okay, we're talking. Oh, you know what? I know that we might go over time doing this, but I wanted to thank Carl Downing because let me just move some of this stuff off the table. Carl sent us a mystery box that he said would be helpful with the Robotech video that we're doing. All right, Luke, you're going to go up there and be anachronistic in the Death Star, and you guys go down here. Okay. So there's a mystery box here that he sent us.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey.
Where did that come from?
I just split this open, and I wanted to see. Holy cow.
My goodness.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so we have a Zentradi Officer's Battle Pod, I believe.
Wow, that's cool.
From the Matchbox line, which I did not have prior to just now. We have, holy cow, I am now the proud owner of a second Zentradi Battle Pod, standard Battle Pod. This is an extremely generous box of toys here.
Look at those long, skinny legs.
Yep. Oh my gosh, he sent the mechs. Look at this. He sent the mechs that protect the SDF-1 from attack. That's metal.
Michael, would you cosplay as the Rocketeer?
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually think you could pull that off. I really thought that was a Wi-Fi antenna for a
If
second.
it wasn't so expensive, I would totally do it. But I haven't really invested in that yet. Look at that guy.
Oh man.
Holy cow! Look at this. There's more of them. There's just mech after mech in here. All right, I'm gonna put this down so we have more room. Let's see.
It's kind of got the weightlifter's waddle.
Holy crap! Did I just
Creek.
Did I just break it? Oh God, I hope I didn't break it.
Ha.
I
Are
think
you gonna do a video on Centurions or Visionaries? I can already answer that that's yes, but I don't know when it will be. We do have a lot of the toys. It'll just be a matter of when we can get around to doing
Holy
that.
cow!
I know.
This is like a childhood in a box.
I know. It's crazy. Let's see. So I don't want that to.
Now I want to know like what all these little fidgety bits are.
I think you're about to find out because. All right, help me with this. Look.
The
Oh,
mecca
there's
of
so
mechas.
much more.
Yep. Go ahead. Grab it.
This one might have a little trouble. He's kind of a break dancer.
We got. They're just mecha coming out of the woodwork.
The mecca of mechas.
Oh, that's funny.
Someone said that. Not, I mean, I said it, but I was quoting someone else.
And there's more right there. Roller cars. They look like wind-up cars.
I'm so glad nanotechnology isn't a bigger thing, because this would be a perfect infiltration technique of like just, hey, look at all this amazing stuff, and then it just like.
Oh, these were cars for a car launching gizmo.
Hold it up so everyone can see. Tilt it down. Like,
You got a little bit of a glare. I'm actually trying to read.
Holy cow.
Uh-huh.
Original. This is original Japanese Macross material right here. This is all in kanji.
This box is not like half done, by the way. There's so much material in
This
here.
looks like. What is this? This is.
it's a handwritten note from the creators
Look,
of.
it's got like.
Michael French, we'd like you to have this.
It's almost like they're folder inserts.
They're like
and-
sketches.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look.
So you have the line drawing on one side, and then you have
Uh-huh.
the color drawing on the other.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
wonder if that's sort of like if you want to draw it yourself. Like
I
it's a
think
kit
it might
to-
be. Huh. Oh, look. There's more of these things. Look.
Draw your own.
Here. Hold those up.
She says, "Hi there."
I mean that. Whoa, that's cool.
These are
these-
seriously neat.
and these-
these
yeah.
need to be framed.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, and here we go. Here's the. He sent like an entire set of the card backs for the action figures.
This would make a great image just to post of like silent judgment.
Yeah. And then, oh, look, we've got. Oh, I see. Okay, so a lot of these mecha here look like they are.
So those are
From-
their card backs?
Yeah, they're from the
potentially?
90s Exo Squad re-release line. So he's provided the card backs for the re-release line so that we know what we were sent.
You were right. Now I know what all the fiddly bits are.
Yeah.
It's a shoulder-mounted autocannon, right? Yeah. Aha, that's what I was wondering. This is an advanced radar and sensory unit.
Grim
Oh, I'm sorry.
2
This is classified top secret. Will everybody just please?
Grim 2 says that those are cells that you paint yourself following an included color guide.
Wow.
Yeah, I would agree. If you look on the back, there are some numbered portions with line drawings showing where each of those would go. So I guess if you could read the kanji, you could tell what color they were saying goes where. I don't know if that translates
This
very well on the camera.
I'm blown away by this box, especially knowing that it was shipped from overseas. I mean, just Carl, thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, this is all going to be in the video. Absolutely, it will be for part 4, Robotech part 4 about the toys. Yeah, I'm stunned, truly stunned. Thank you.
I really like the paintwork on this thing.
Does it make it easier for you to watch the Southern Cross stuff though?
No, it doesn't. None of this is Southern Cross.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But it's sort of Robotech
Yeah.
related.
Right.
But it is a cool name.
It is. It is.
You used to say you once had a near complete 30 run of Superman comics, Michael. What years did your collection span from?
I still have my pre-crisis Superman. I kept all that, but my post-crisis Superman was complete. Every special, every title, from the John Byrne relaunch Man of Steel all the way up through everything in 2007. All 4 titles, including Man of Tomorrow's brief run, which would have been a 5th title, and all the one-offs. So I had everything.
So are we?
I guess I guess we're at time.
I think we're at time, everybody. Thank everyone who joined us. Those of you who just joined us, hopefully we'll be doing more of these. So come back next time. The questions make all of this work. So
Yeah.
we really, really enjoyed having all the questions. And I really, really enjoyed Michael's hair.
Let's bring that one back around. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you all for being on the live stream.
He's actually mad.
I'm going to try and make this a more regular thing again, the live stream. We've been trying to ramp up a few more videos.
When we get the new Coke,
we can
try
get the
here.
new Coke on live stream. We'll do that on live stream. So we'll try the new Coke live. I'm sure they'll appreciate that a lot.
Especially if you hate it.
Right. Swill!
Because you won't
now
be
we're
able to
gonna-
spit take in here.
Yeah.
Get pizza and play some games, right?
Right. We're going to get pizza and play some games. And I hope you all have a lovely Saturday evening prepped for yourselves as well. But please always feel free to reach out to us. You can always find me at the YouTube channel, Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, and on our .com. And you can reach Aaron and Melinda in basically all those same places. And additionally, you can reach both of you at
RetroBlasting.com/Dreamland.
Yeah, or the Dreamland Podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah,
Cool.
just send us a note, say hi, say whatever you want within
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah,
I'm looking at you.
that's right.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. And we will see you on the next video. I'm working on a few. I don't know which one's going to land first. Might be Robotech Part 2. Might be the Star Wars Retro Collection. Might be the 6-inch collector figures. Chime in real quick and let me know which
we
one you
get it.
prefer next.
You're awesome.
I've literally got scripts written for all of them. I've got work done on all of them. It's just a matter of which one reaches the finish line. And maybe you all can tell me which one you'd prefer to come first. So the Robotech one is still a long ways away, but if you tell me to work on that one, that's what I'll do if you're willing to wait. So
Bye, everybody.
bye. Thanks, everyone.